Of all the motorcycles featured in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the Capsular cycle was always my favorite motorcycle of the four. Simply because this was the only motorcycle that was only featured in its Sentai counterpart, that being Gingaman, and it made its debut in the Sentai. It was debuted in episode 32 of Gingaman, which was the Sentai counterpart that the episode Red Romance of Lost Galaxy was adapted from. The Capsular cycle in Power Rangers, however, was only used for about 4 episodes, if you count Red Romance, the Chameleac episode, the first episode with Captain Mutiny's debut in the Lost Galaxy arc, and also in the final battle with Trakina and the Galaxy Rangers on Terra Venture in the episode final for the series. The Capsular cycle only appeared for 4 episodes of the show, and basically, I'd rather take this motorcycle over the Astro cycles. Because due to my pain's sake with those motorcycles, the reason why I prefer the Capsule cycle over the Astro cycles is because the Astro cycles were only for the red, blue, and green Rangers, and sucks that the girls in the actual series didn't get them, nor even in the toys. But yet they have jet jammers, but they don't get something like the motorcycles that the guys had, and knowing to the fact all 5 Galaxy Rangers should have had Astro cycles, but only, sadly, like I said before, the girls only get them. The Capsular cycle for the Red Ranger specifically is an upgraded version of his particular Astro cycle, because if you recall in the Motor Manus episode of the show, when Leo had to battle in a race with, Motor Manus one final time in that episode, in order to, get faster, he had to get faster and get ahead of Motor Manus. He had to look into his heart to figure, look into his heart and channel his inner Lion Galacta Beast in order to activate the Capsular cycle to, transform from the Astro cycle to the Capsular cycle. So that's how it worked. But in Gingaman, it was done totally different, because Gingaman didn't have the equivalent of the Astro cycles in their show. Capsular cycle was the only motorcycle that only Ginga Red, that being Ryoma, would use mostly only. And the only way how they did that in the Sentai, the Rangers had to utilize the lights of the Ginga lights, aka lights of Orion here in America, in order to activate the Ginga something that the Capsular cycle's name is based on from Gingaman. So that's how they did that there with, it seems like in Gingaman they could activate the Ginga lights, aka again lights of Orion, in order to bring this cycle to light. Now over to my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film series. I know I haven't been posting much stuff for it lately since quarantine, but also make it advised, this is my last Arsenal sort of video related for the fan film series, since Infinite Frontier is intended to be my final chapter of this. I'm going to plan on using the Capsular cycle, or Capsular cycles, and use them in some scenes of Infinite Frontier, if I will get production on the film done, even amid the pandemic. And the Capsular cycles I do have, as toy versions from Bandai America, and they're very vintage, is only the Red Ranger and the Magna Defender ones. Even though I didn't really want the Magna Defender one, but I minded it. Also, since we're in 2020 and in the Hasbro era, and I know I haven't really been doing much content about my fan films during this era, back 5 years ago, when I was doing pre-production stuff on Wrath of Trakina, I did get the Capsular cycles off of eBay for like $12 from a Capsular cycle lot that someone was selling back in 2015. Sorry, I'm messing up. Sorry. And that's how I got the Magna Defender one and the Red Ranger one, but I only specifically wanted the Red Ranger one, even though the Magna Defender one is just fine, but I didn't really need it though. Another thing I also have to point out about the Capsular cycle toys from Bandai, even though the Red Ranger's Capsular cycle was only on the show, but Magna Defender, Green, and Blue all have Capsular cycles as well. Just like when I did my Arsenal, video about, Arsenal and vehicle featurette about the Galactic Speeder, that the red and green Rangers and Magna Defender also had one, when I only specifically got the Blue Ranger one specifically for the Galactic Speeder. The Capsular cycle, in terms of the cycles, I'll probably just use just the Red Ranger one, but if I don't have time or room to feature Magna Defender's Capsular cycle in the film, Then I'll just save it for some other future fan film project, or just, I don't know. But that depends on how far I go with this. Plus, what I also liked about the capsule cycle for years is that it can go into fireball mode if you just close up the cycle, and then it does what it does with that finisher, and that's all it does, which is this the only impressive feat that the cycle only has. Plus, what I also like about the cycle is how simplistic and rounded it is, and also got the face of the Lion Galactabeast, you know, to it in the front of the cycle. Unlike the Astro cycle, where of course they had to have the faces of the Galactabeast that the red, blue, and green Rangers have. And even though, again, I wish if yellow and pink had Astro cycles of their own, that I would have liked the Astro cycles. But since I don't like the Astro cycles, since it only had, it's only for, you know, the guys, they basically, that's why I only prefer the Capsular cycle. Capsular cycle is great, and I hope I'll have this thing ready in time for when production resumes on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier after this pandemic and quarantine will eventually be over. But cross your fingers. I hope eventually, after all of this is over, going on out in the world, when production resumes, I will probably film some scenes here or there with the Capsular cycle.